Welcome back to the PPC qualifiers. We are in Brazil right now as Rao continue to battle up against Akatsuki. Akatsuki do grab 1 point this time, an improvement over map 1, but so far Rao has seemed to be in complete control. They're up 2-0 right now. Still Finch and Goremizer. And Gore, I don't know, man, Rao are looking hard to beat.
You roll that back to the first, I guess, 2 minutes of that game, and it's like, okay, yeah, Ice Mines was just like a slip-up. Like, it's 1-1. This is gonna go pretty even. And then it just changed right back to where it was before. And that's got to come down to PS1 playing out of his mind on that
really well.
Victor. And that's probably the biggest thing. I mean, 14, 3, 13. He was at like a 19-plus streak at the very end there. Headed had some of the best Accursed Arms I think I've gotten to see on Androxus in a long time. And those two combined made it so much easier for the rest of the team to be like, cool, guess I'll cap them.
They really did. And to be honest, I thought Guest played well on this Koga, right? On the opposite side. For Akatsuki, he was buying so much time, was able to get the dash reset all the time, and was able to keep moving around, find some really good trades. It just was not enough by himself. It felt like there was not enough backup. The pressure from the rest of Rao was way too much.
And it's so weird because Sir Flynn had so much damage on the Vivian. It just wasn't getting converted to the kills the same way Victor's damage was. PS1 was in a position to set up either himself or Headed to then immediately pick up the kill. And if it wasn't either of them, it was one of your tanks, even the Furia, making sure to get her name in there. And there were a lot of moments where Guest was able to provide a lot, get some kills, cause a lot of distraction, but not survive the onslaught he needed to. I mean, even there, he lasts forever in the fight. Doesn't really get anything with that life, though.
Yeah, man, this was the play from Headed that I feel like really sealed this game, wasn't it? That was the, the Accursed Arm that really put this one to bed. It felt like it opened up for PS1 to step forward and grab some aggressive positioning as well. So a really strong performance from Rao that game. Man. I wouldn't mind talking a bit about that Genos, though. He had one really nice through time and space, right, where he got the double kill, but later on in the game, we saw some points. There were some hiccups for it. There was the setup where he had a target he was trying to hit. Look, it either wasn't enough damage or did not connect. I wonder if, they left a bit on the table in that game.
Yeah, I think there's still room maybe to wiggle around, but right now, if you're Rao, you're in the end game. Like, you're literally at the one step away. I feel like if you have any pocket picks at this point is Akatsuki. I don't know why I can't say it right. Every single time I goof it up. They're like Sir Flynn, Guests are going to be the ones that can maybe pilot it, but I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
I know what you mean, though. You feel like it's got to come out now. Here's our chance to see if we move into the picks.
Well, it literally has to come out
right,
now,
exactly. Yeah, they will get no other chances at least this week. Now, remember, everyone that's made to this point has qualified already. They'll be moving on to those group stages, but this is for seeding. You want to be that team that everyone else is kind of measuring themselves up against. I feel like you want to be able to come out and get this early win.
And, I mean, like you said, since everyone's going there, you also want to find a way to not have to fight Rao again as much as possible, right? Like, if this is what's happening so far, in the group stage when it becomes super round robin, you want to find ideally your easiest path in, right? Which means that, the teams we watched last week probably don't want to end up against them too much, or if you do, you want to be like, third or second in that area. There's a lot of big names that have been around in Brazil that are vying for these spots. So right now, I think Rao are putting theirs right on the board with them.
I think that they are, man. You got to make sure that you're respecting this team if you're going to be playing them later on, because they're clearly playing well so far. Torvald makes it through this time. I was wondering what Rao was going to ban, because they've been banning a lot of Dredge in there with their picks so far, but they elected to ban away the ROM and the Eevee. That makes some sense if you've got some players on control that you're a bit worried about. Eevee can be hard to track sometimes, but that does mean Torvald Furia goes across the other way. That is scary.
Yeah, that's real. It's Torvald Furia Zin. If you ever wanted to see someone not die, so we were talking about the resets for the energy on Koga last game, keeping him alive and just seeming way longer than any Koga should ever be alive. That Zin, if this comp, just as it is played properly, should never die. He should have Billow up or a shield from either the Fury or the Torvald. The healing that comes through, like, there's just so much that will fuel him. But that's why I think Sky is going to be good. If she goes into Wrecker, has % health damage as well, gets Torvald out of there pretty fast, but can burn through Zin pretty quickly as well.
So there are going to be some options then. We'll see if this Sky does enough. Makoa added to be that front line alongside the Barrack. But now it's Bomb King and Dinar here for Akatsuki on the other side. Goremizer, I know they have struggled in this set up until now, but I feel like if Akatsuki are going to get it done, this has to be the draft, right? I mean, they're not going to get a better win than this.
That is a pretty insanely solid draft to have, especially on Brightmarsh. I think it works wonderfully for what it does. A lot of the question marks for me will be around Wrecker, how big those come through, and how soon they come online for Rao. And really the Sky. I mean, you know, we've been mentioning the fact that they have console players. Sky's not foreign to console players, but she is kind of foreign to competitive play. She doesn't come through often.
Right.
That's realistically the Season 3 changes that are bringing her online a little bit more. And right now she's looking good.
Well, this game for Akatsuki is a must-win. Otherwise, Rao wins it with the sweep. Game number 3, I'm going to hand it back down to Dave.
Well, if you're Akatsuki, mentally this is game 1 for you, but unfortunately, it's actually game 3. As Rao looked to seal up this set, yet a 6-minute game 1, very quick game on Stone Keep. Just got to keep improving here if you're Akatsuki, and I think if nothing else, that draft certainly has improved for them.
Dave, if every game is game 1, is that why? Because they're never warmed up? They're just never ready to take it forward from there?
I was questioning whether I wanted to bring us in with that, because you almost can't have it be game 1 because this is it. If you lose, you still go. You've already qualified. You're in the finals for Brazil for week 2. But you got to try to find a way to turn this one around. We get to see Torvald for seemingly what is maybe one of the first times here in the first couple of weeks.
Not usually coming through because people just don't want to play against this style of play that Torvald kind of allows. When you're playing against Torvald versus when you're playing against almost any other off-tank or any other support character in that role, it's never the same. Torvald allows for things that no one else does. And this is a monstrous draft for Akatsuki. If they don't make this, if they don't make a win off of this, it's going to be, I mean, they're going to be out. That's it.
They need to keep headed, I think, and check this game. We've seen the potential that a Sky can bring when she is unchecked. Playing a little bit of point presence right now, just trying to melt away some of those high health targets. It's PS1 who opens up the killing in this one. That's the Vivian for him this time around. Started off with the Wrecker as his item of choice to try to mitigate some of that Torvald shielding, and what a great start from Rao.
Yeah, the sustain is so much from the Sky, too. Basically just free-farming off the Inara. The Inara keeps moving into contest. The Sky uses the smoke bomb, gets the reset with Confound, and has a smoke bomb up in 3 more seconds. They can't contest with the healing of a Barrack with a Generous Mark and a Sky Smoke.
Well, they need to contest right now because they're at 84% headed. Plugged for a good chunk of his health, but in the meantime, Guest on that Bomb King drops down. Those are some good shots from Headed. You can't really miss from that range. That's Atomic, who's back at base. Billow goes Flynn this time around. Overtime looking like it's gonna melt away, and Rao E-sports they pick up right where they left off with the point on the board.
He just got deleted, and the hook onto the Torvald is actually a huge deal. Makoa, if he can get close enough to Torvald, it's a great counter. He has to play safe. He has to kind of play in the back. Can't really tank a lot of damage on his own. Makoa completely just nullifies that. There's nothing he can do once he's hooked in to stay alive.
And this is still, you know, there were some changes to Wrecker, but still on Vivian. I mean, I have seen that shield go onto Bomb King, you know, a handful of times now. And all you need are just a couple of shots to kind of melt that away. I mean, you see right there, I mean, it was a good chunk, but only needed a few. I imagine that's going to get worse for them as this game goes on. Finally, some blue kills on the board to make it 3 as the defense for Akatsuki finally starting to take hold.
I would say well-timed combination there for Akatsuki. They had the King Bomb, and by using the Torvald bubble on it, they got that increased movement speed. And Rao, not really the most mobile composition. They're not going to be able to run away from a 40% faster King Bomb. And
yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, there's no way. The chase down from him, the burst damage, tough for them to make anything out of it. They're still pretty aggressive here, but it looks like moving in as a unit on the side, this Inara might be overextended.
Yeah, Atomic is able to throw up the wall and keep himself alive. So Torvald shielding did some good work as well. That's a hook right back in through. Nada's got to be careful, though. Wasn't quite the fight he was expecting there. That's counter from Sir Flynn. He's going to get himself out. Those Sentinels plugging away so much damage. Oh, he had to reload. What a bummer that time. 60 seconds left, but plenty of targets waiting around the corner. They're all caught off alone here. And that's the Ancient Rage that's going to plug away at Akatsuki, and this is looking dire for them. This is an unchecked Vivian, an unchecked Sky. And with 45 seconds left, they're knocking on the door of a 2-0.
And the tanks died just a little bit late. It's going to have to be the Xin, I think, buying time, but he's taking so much damage for free. He used all his cooldowns, and he won't be able to contest.
Yeah, I don't think he drops down on this one. Inara just out of range. And that felt like brute force there for Rao. I mean, PS1, I think, positioned himself so well. Finally found the opening, and nobody was looking at him there towards the end.
I mean, what is this comp from Rao other than brute force? They're sustaining a bunch with that damage boost, with Vivian getting the extra 20% from Opportunity and Chaos. they're just trying to hold steady and wear them down on the side of Akatsuki. And even with the sustain of the Furia, the sustain of the Torvald, and Nara having that damage reduction, and Xin having 8 billion defensive cooldowns he can cycle back and forth, they just can't outlast the amount of healing on the other side, especially because of how they started. Only the Inara had Cauterize when this game started.
This is maybe very specific, but look at Nada going immediately into Rezil 3. He's going to be brushing off a lot of the CC that Akatsuki brings to the table.
You're going to have to against a Torvald. If you're Makoa, you dash in, you're ready to Ancient Rage, you're nullified. There's nothing you can do. He has to start that way.
Guess 4K started this one with the King Bomb, but unfortunately doesn't find much for it. Zenny did go down. That was a spite from Flynn there, who grabs it, but that's the time bomb is going to push them right on back. Akatsuki are going to backpedal their way out. They did get 39%, large part thanks to the fast cap that was on their side. This is where Rao can kind of set up that first line of defense. They're going to have to break themselves back in.
Yeah, but they have to go back into the strong, like, stalwart presence of Rao. They're going to have the Barrack on the point with the Sky, and Sky's going to be melting Inari. It's a tough fight to overcome.
And that's the Dome Shield to try to counter out that Seismic Crash, and does that maybe a little bit more. They are still on this point, 72%. In the meantime, Headed drops at the hands of the Xin. He's going to rocket boots his way back on there. This is the fight to win. If you're Akatsuki, you got to try to push just a little bit extra. Four members backpedaling through time and space. No good. Double kill now from Flynn. That might just be enough to secure this one. Zenny, though, he's back in on this fight. Only one ultimate is left on the table right now, and that's the Sentinels looking for more. Logica just needs to win out on this duel. Guest 4K helps him out. Zenny drops down into the stealth. Headed moves himself in. Double kill from the Bomb King. Overtime is on. Shell spin right back in. Nada back in on the fight, but I'm not sure this is going to be enough. Logica is so low here, Kresnik.
Yeah, he's trying to stay alive behind the wall, finally being used. Zuckerton finds Flynn, and this could turn.
Guest is trying to plug out some damage. Another King Bomb here in this round is going to roll its way through. Finds a nice double stun. You got to win that one. Logica finally finishes off that Barrack. 3 members of Rao starting to knock down this doorway. Objective captured, gets stunned right off of the point. And Akatsuki are able to grab themselves the mid-fight.
Amagia ults just out of the momentum. He's just feeling good. He wants to press E and get that follow-up kill. And people are going to be running to the point to stagger, but they have an initial pick. This might be more than a stagger if they want to make something out of it.
Try to look for a little bit extra. And I think that Akatsuki have done a good enough job of kind of delaying that one out, that the line is just going to be drawn right here. Flynn does have the whirl to get himself out. Now the line is drawn here with 2 minutes left. It was almost, I think, a perfect storm of kind of ultimates, and the way that fight went for Akatsuki. If it didn't work out for them there, I'm not sure anything would have.
They definitely won. I don't know if they should have taken that fight, because Logia did not wall off a single choke point the entire time with wall off of cooldown. He let them continuously walk in, but they had enough damage and ultimates to win in spite of that. Sometimes
it just works out for you, and unfortunately this offense is not one of them. So you got a few members of Akatsuki back in base. And this is where Rao can really push that advantage. They've got a tough composition to kind of push back through if you're Akatsuki.
And this Skybomb actually, thought it was going to get more because of how deep it went, but they had corners to kind of hide around. All you have to do is line of sight the bomb and you can survive. It's not going to touch you at all. It only pierces shields.
Are you concerned at all, Krez, that we're maybe now starting to get to the point where that Vivian, at least at the very start of this round, had Wrecker too. Nice double kill there from Guest. Are you concerned that we're make it 3 for the Bomb King just to get him back to the payload? Are you concerned that the Torvald shields now are going to be pretty much evaporated by an ever-growing presence of Wrecker on their team?
Only if they use it to match the Vivian. I think they just have to move the Torvald to whatever side of the map she's not covering.
Sure.
That's what it comes down to. And actually, Wrecker on the side of Guest is going to make it harder for Nada to push, so kind of extra pressure on the tanks on both sides.
Wrecker for either team. Maybe counteracting presence there, and that's a good sticky from Guest. Good showing on the Bomb King, not only to get his team back to the payload, but to keep things moving here. With about 20 seconds left, Rao starting to lose members. You're getting heavily staggered out here. You're not going to have your Makoa for 10 more seconds. Now you're not going to have your healer for 10 or so seconds. Be careful. This is a tough zone, especially with that Hyper Beam. Ramen could use it. just to blast themselves backwards. This is the best looking Akatsuki we've seen so far. It is the Hyper Beam, does connect onto the sky, does get the kill onto the sky, but the reinforcements are here.
They are, and they actually have the Ancient Rage if they want to use it, and they do, but I think it might have been a little late. He's still not touching.
Watch out, PS1 still up on the high ground. Spite, that one's good onto Zenny. Sir Flynn is going to whirl his way out. Ancient Rage expire, Seismic Crash for Atomic. He's Void gripped up in the air, out behind his wall. He does get melted down by Headed, who's back on the respawn. Akatsuki used the Spite, they used the Hyper Beam, but they don't get the defense, or they don't get the push, rather.
It was a solid bait, I think, actually, from the Ancient Rage. I thought it had to be Ancient to touch because of the Hyper Beam, and actually we can see this turret by Guest. The bubbled King Bomb is so tough to deal with. Normally you just think you burn him down before he can get on top of you, but just couldn't do it in time because of that extra power, even with the Vivian having all that wrecker. And huge game for Guest, actually, 12-4, and he's out-damaging PS1 on Vivian, who we thought was having a massive game.
Yeah, I mean, the damage dealers, I think, for Akatsuki by and large. I mean, Sir Flynn has 7 deaths. You know, 8-7-5 is not the most attractive scoreline, but I think he's doing a good job keeping pace third in the game. And Nara above the sky even, as you point out, I think is an interesting stat line to look at.
It is definitely healing-focused Sky, though. She's hit the poison bolts, smoke bomb somebody, keep them alive to try to withstand all the damage boosting on the other side.
Through time and space, just wide this time. That's the bubble around the King Bomb. He's so fast he has Inflame, pushing him forward as well. Guest 4K finds the first blood in this one. That's a double kill. Rao, they're reeling after that one, looking for more, but Ramen finds the kill. Now there's one man left, and that is Zenny. Down he goes, and this is another great fight for Akatsuki.
They didn't get any cap time the whole time, though. 54% for Rao.
That's true.
But low on ultimates. They're going to have to get that Sky close, and she's such a late spawn with this fast cap that I don't know if they'll have the chance to, even with Nada hovering around this point area.
Unfortunately, you lose that Zen. That's a big loss. Only 5 seconds left. Time Bomb. That's going to buy some space. How much damage does it find? Atomic gets plugged away just for a little bit, but no kills just yet. Enough healing from that Furia. Keeps her alive in the wall to cover the regress. You have to move in, though, if you're Akatsuki. Yeah. This could be game. So if you're just going to zone, you're going to be feeling okay about this if you're Rao. 87% is where they stall out. Atomic back in on the fight. But you got Sentinels plugging away some damage at you. PS1 finds the kill. Void Grip picks up Flynn. Looking for a triple kill here. PS1 finds it. King Bomb rolling its way through. Just needs to reload. Sukrin finds maybe the final kill in this game. And thus the final kill in this set. Rao E-sports roll their way to a 3-0.
There was potential there.
There was.
Akatsuki had potential. Guest got 2 King Bombs. He charged another King Bomb in a fight.
Yep.
He had it up, but the way they reset off that objective, when they all pulled up into the tree area, they just didn't have anything covered. Literally, PS1 stood in the entrance to the pit the whole time. He just free-fired uncontested. I
think Guest, you know, he did his 14-5 and 10 in a 4-1 loss. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. 14-5 and 10, notably, for not PS1 on the other side as well. We wondered how that Vivian would fare, and apparently very well. And you mentioned, quick pivot, headed kind of in that more healing-centric Sky build. That's 60k healing for him, not bad.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome having a supplementary support, especially one that's actually good to have Luminary on. You put a Luminary mark on a Sky, with or without Debilitate, she's doing fantastic percentage health damage to all these tanks.
And that was something I noted kind of really at the beginning of the game. I was like, oh, they're sending the Sky right back into the point. You effectively just sit him behind Zenny. He's going to give himself, his team, some healing, and you saw how hard it was to push back the side of Rao. Double kills, you know, the Vivian, when you kind of add those two things together, so much focus on trying to melt down this barrack opens the door for the rest of the team.
And the Sky, too, if they get pressured and dove or whatever, they can just stealth, walk away, maybe have emergency exit to live longer. If you buy more and more time, that bubble might run out. They might not be able to find that kill in time, and stalling out the bubble is another great way to counter Torvald.
Do you think that this, because it's such an interesting playstyle, I'm so used to seeing full-blown damage, flank Sky, just melting down tanks. Do you think this healing Sky is kind of that new meta? Do you think we see more of the healing variant than the kind of flank full damage variant?
I think so. I gotta say, I was actually surprised to see Debilitate earlier. They need a different percentage health damage, but that supplementary support, it's so good.
That was big for them. And that is the Brazil finals here for the PPC qualifiers week 2. We got there. Rao E-sports, they grabbed the 3-0 win. We're moving to NA right after this.